Justified is an American television drama series that premiered on March 16, 2010 on the FX network. Developed by Graham Yost, it is based on Elmore Leonard's short story, Fire in the Hole. Timothy Oliphant portrays Raylan Givens, a tough U.S. Marshal enforcing his own brand of justice in his hometown of Harlan, Kentucky. The series is set in Lexington and in the Appalachian Mountains area of eastern Kentucky, specifically in and around Harlan. The series, comprising 78 episodes aired over 6 seasons, concluded on April 14, 2015. Justified received critical acclaim throughout all 6 seasons, particularly for its acting, directing, art direction, writing, and Oliphant's and Walton Goggins' performances. Justified has been nominated for 8 Primetime Emmy Awards, with 2 wins. For Margot Martindale's performance as Mags Bennett and Jeremy Davis' performance as Dickie Bennett. Plot: Deputy U.S. Marshal Raylan Givens is something of a 19th-century-style, Old West lawman living in modern times, whose unconventional enforcement of justice makes him a target of criminals and a problem child to his U.S. Marshals Service superior. The Lexington Marshal's officer's jurisdiction includes Harlan County, where Raylan was raised and which he thought he had escaped for good in his youth. Season 1. The story arc of Season 1 concentrates on the crimes of the Crowder family. Raylan seeks to protect Ava Crowder from the rest of the Crowder clan after she shoots her husband, Bowman Crowder, dead in retaliation for years of abuse. Her biggest threat initially comes from Boyd Crowder, a local criminal masquerading as a white supremacist whom Raylan shoots in a standoff. Boyd survives the shot to the chest and claims it is a sign from God that he should change his ways. Raylan hesitates to believe him, but Boyd is soon sent to prison, where he spends his time reading the Bible and preaching to convicts. The season builds towards the release of family patriarch Bo, who wishes to rebuild his family's drug trade and to settle old scores, including one with Raylan's father, Arlo, who has cheated him out of money. Bo's release is soon followed by Boyd's, after a technicality prevents him from being further incarcerated. While Bo works on gaining dominance over the local drug trade, Boyd collects a camp of spiritually reformed criminals whom he trains to blow up meth houses in the county to clean up Harlan. The explosions cause a few casualties, leading Raylan and the other U.S. Marshals to keep an eye on the team. In the meantime, Raylan is dealing with personal dilemmas, including working in the same building as his ex-wife, for whom he still has feelings. Bo promises the niece and nephew of Gio Reyes, head of a Miami drug cartel, that he will deliver Raylan to them in exchange for a large shipment of drugs. Boyd catches word of this and, with his flock of reformed prisoners, blows up the truck carrying the shipment, leading the niece and nephew to hold Bo accountable for the damages. This leads Bo to go to Boyd's camp and threaten to kill his own son, illustrating the harsh family relations that provide some insight into how Boyd turned out the way he has. Instead of killing Boyd, though, Bo offers his son the option to abandon his group, after which Bo will leave all of them alone. Boyd walks away into the forest, where he hears gunshots, and returns to see that all of his followers have been killed. This sends him, depressed, to Raylan's door, saying he will help Raylan find Bo as long as he is allowed to be the one to kill him. An earlier plan is foiled, involving Arla's shooting Raylan, to deliver Raylan into Bo's clutches, then handing him over to Gio. But Bo has taken Ava hostage. This is the turning point that drives Boyd and Raylan to join forces for the first time, and Boyd leads him to the Crowder cabin. There, Raylan manages to kill one of Bo's henchmen. As Raylan and Bo are walking to the cabin, Boyd appears ready to shoot and kill Bo. Before Boyd has an opportunity, Bo is shot and killed by a sniper, who then starts shooting at Raylan and Boyd, who take cover in the cabin. They discover they are surrounded by Gio's niece and nephew plus 2 other gunmen, who then attack the cabin with machine guns. Boyd, Ava, and Raylan are trapped. The niece and nephew demand Raylan be turned over to them. After Boyd attempts to pass himself off as Raylan, and Raylan kills two of the gunmen, Raylan tells Boyd and Ava to leave out the back way, and he walks forward, hands in the air. As the niece steps out from behind her car, the nephew attempts to shoot Raylan. Boyd shoots the nephew, and the niece drives away. Boyd wants to chase her, but Raylan stops him, saying it is against the law. However, Boyd absconds in Bo's car, but doesn't use violence. This signifies the beginning of an uneasy friendship between the two characters that will continue throughout the series. Season 2 deals primarily with the criminal dealings of the Bennett clan. Family matriarch Mags Bennett and her three sons, Dickie, Coover, and Corbin County Police Chief Doyle plan to expand their marijuana business into crowded territory following Bo's death. As Boyd has proven somewhat reluctant to follow in his father's footsteps, Raylan gets involved in the struggle between the two criminal organizations. And because of a long-standing feud between the Givens and Bennett families centering on an incident between Raylan and Dickie in their youth, things begin to become very complicated, with the pair's pasts catching up with them. Meanwhile, an effort by a mining conglomerate to secure access rights to the mountain results in Raylan and Boyd's becoming involved on opposite sides of the operation. This provokes a local backlash against the Bennetts, after Boyd reveals Mag's secret involvement in negotiations with the conglomerate, to the detriment of her neighbors. Season 3 introduces a new main villain, Robert Quarles of Detroit. The criminal organization connected to the Frankfort, Kentucky, mob has exiled Quarles to Kentucky. Quarles allies himself with local enforcer Win Duffy and begins to supplant the local criminals when Raylan begins investigating. Quarles' efforts also bring him into conflict with Boyd's group, resulting in the deaths of several locals. Simultaneously, Dickie Bennett, the lone survivor of the Bennett clan, seeks the aid of the African-American residents of Nobles Hollow and their leader, Elston Limehouse, in recovering his inheritance. Limehouse attempts to keep his people out of the struggle between the criminal groups but becomes involved when Boyd gets the upper hand on Quarles, leading to a series of betrayals and deaths, some of them sexual and deviant. Season 4 is about a mystery which was left unsolved for 30 years. On January 21, 1983, a man wearing a defective parachute plummets onto a residential street in Corbin, Kentucky, dying instantly. His body is surrounded by bags full of cocaine and an ID tag for a Waldo Truth. Raylan learns of the mystery when a vintage diplomatic bag is found hidden at Arla's house containing only Waldo Truth's ID tag. Further investigation indicates that the parachutist died and Raylan's father Arlo hid the bag, but he refuses to divulge any information. As the investigation continues to unfold, information is revealed that could lead to the arrest of a major mafia figure. Raylan is now living above a bar and attempting to stash extra money away to provide for his unborn child, and is in a questionable relationship with the bartender, Lindsay Salazar. Boyd Crowder seeks to expand his empire with help from an old army buddy, Colt Rhodes. Boyd's efforts are complicated by the arrival of a snake-handling revival preacher named Billy Street. Sear. Billy's success is cutting into Boyd's profits, as his users and dealers are getting hooked on faith instead of drugs. Boyd's cousin Johnny grows ever more resentful of Boyd's success and plans to betray him to Win Duffy. Boyd's ambition has him force a deal with Duffy that involves Boyd chasing down leads in the same parachutist mystery, eventually bringing Boyd to an unexpected crossroads that threatens his personal or professional destruction. Season 5 features the alligator farming Crow crime family, led by Darryl Crow, Jr. Also, Jerry Burns, who recurred throughout the first 4 seasons as Win Duffy, was made a series regular. Season 6 revolves around the culmination of Raylan and Boyd's rivalry, complicated by AVA's betrayal, the machinations of Avery Markham, and a plot to rob him by Boyd, Win Duffy and Markham's secret adversary. Boyd succeeds in robbing Markham, but Raylan's plan to entrap him with AVA's help has tragic consequences. Raylan's job, life, and future are all threatened in a way they have never been before. Cast and characters. Main cast: Timothy Oliphant as Deputy U.S. Marshal Raylan Givens, Nick Searcy as Chief Deputy U.S. Marshal Art Mullen, Joel Carter as Ava Crowder, Jacob Pitts as Deputy U.S. Marshal Tim Gutterson, Erica Tazel as Deputy U.S. Marshal Rachel Brooks, Natalie Zia as Winona Hawkins, Walton Goggins as Boyd Crowder, Jerry Burns as Wynn Duffy. Recurring cast: David Munier as Johnny Crowder, Raymond J. Barry as Arlo Givens, Rick Gomez as Assistant U.S. Attorney David Vasquez, MC. Gainey as Bo Crowder, Brent Sexton as Sheriff Hunter Mosley, Damon Harriman as Dewey Crow, Linda Geringer as Helen Givens, William Ragsdale as Gary Hawkins, Kevin Rankin as Derek Devil Lennox, Stephen Flynn as Emmett Arnott, Stephen Root as Judge Mike Reardon, Mel Fair as Deputy U.S. Marshal Nelson Dunlop, Caitlin Dever as Loretta McCready, Jim Beaver as Sheriff Shelby Parlow, Drew Thompson, Abby Miller as Ellen May, Jeremy Davies as Dickie Bennett, Margot Martindale as Mags Bennett, Joseph Lyle Taylor as Doyle Bennett, Brad William Henker as Coover Bennett, Peter Murnick as State Trooper Tom Bergen, James Legrose as Wade Messer, William Gregory Lee as Sheriff Nick Mooney, Jonathan Kowalski as Mike Cosmetopoulos, Michael T. Williamson as Elston Limehouse, Mikey Jones as Rodney Dunham, Neil McDonough as Robert Qualls, David Andrews as Sheriff Tillman Napier, Brendan McCarthy as Tanner Dodd, Demetrius Gross as Errol, William Mapother as Delroy Baker, Todd Stashwick as Ash Murphy, Stephen Tobolowsky as Agent Jeremy Berkeley, Max Perlish as Sammy Tonan, Jen Leon as Lindsay Salazar, Jesse Lucan as Jimmy Tolan, Adam Arkin as Theo Tonan, Ron Eldard as Colton Rhodes, Joe Mazzello as Billy Street, Sear, Gerald McCraney as Josiah Ken, Lindsay Pulsifer as Cassie Street, Sear, Patton Oswalt as Constable Bob Sweeney, Sam Anderson as Lee Paxton, Mike O'Malley as Nicky Augustin, Robert Baker as Randall Kuzik, Brian Howe as Arnold, Chris Chalk as Jody Adair, John Capellos as Ethan Picker, Michael Rappaport as Darryl Crow, Jr., A.J. Buckley as Danny Crow, Alicia Witt as Wendy Crow, Edie Gathergy as Jean-Baptiste, Jacob Lofland as Kendall Crow, Amy Smart as Alison Brander, Steve Harris as Roscoe, Wood Harris as Jay, Don McManus as Billy Geist, Carolina Widra as Mara Paxton, Danielle Panabaker as Penny Cole, Mary Steenburgen as Catherine Hale, Justin Wellborn as Carl, Bill Tangrady as Cyrus Boone, Danny Strong as Albert Feckus, Sam Elliott as Avery Markham, Garrett Dillahunt as Ty Walker, Jeff Fay as Zachariah Randolph, Jonathan Tucker as Boone, Ryan Dorsey as Earl, Scott Grimes as Sean Seabass, Duke Davis Roberts as Mundo Choo Choo. Production. Justified was given a 13-episode order by FX on July 28, 2009, and premiered on March 16, 2010. FX renewed the show for a second season, which premiered on February 9, 2011. A third season of 13 episodes was announced on March 29, 2011, and premiered January 17, 2012. A fourth season of 13 episodes was announced on March 6, 2012, and premiered January 8, 2013. The show was renewed for a fifth season, which premiered on January 7, 2014. On January 14, 2014, the series was renewed for a sixth and final season, which premiered on January 20, 2015. The decision to end the show was primarily based on lead actor Timothy Oliphant and series developer Graham Yost. FX Network President John Landgraf said that Jost and Oliphant felt that the arc of the show and what they had to say would be best served by 6 seasons instead of 7. Regretfully, I accepted their decision. Jost's comments were, "Our biggest concern is running out of story and repeating ourselves." This was a long conversation. There were financial incentives to keep going, but it really felt, in terms of story, that 6 years felt about right. The working title for the series was Lawman. The first episode was referred to as The Fire in the Hole pilot during shooting and retains this as the name of the episode itself. Filming while the pilot was shot in Pittsburgh and suburban Kittanning and Washington, Pennsylvania. The subsequent 38 episodes were shot in California. The small town of Green Valley, California often doubles for Harlan, Kentucky. In the pilot, Pittsburgh's David L. Lawrence Convention Center appears on film as the small-town airport, and the construction of the new Consol Energy Center serves as the new courthouse. The series began filming using the Epic camera, manufactured by Red Digital Cinema Camera Company, with the 3rd season. Director of photography Francis Kenny said, "We persuaded Sony Entertainment that by shooting with Epic cameras production would be increased tenfold and it would look spectacular." After filming the first 2 episodes of the season, Kenny said, "Episode 1 of Season 3 is now complete and our dreams have come true. The show looks better than ever and the producers are now true believers of the Red System." Crew Graham Yost developed the series for television, based on the character U.S. Marshal Raylan Givens, with the on-screen credit giving the source as Leonard's short story, Fire in the Hole. Both Yost and Leonard are credited as executive producers on the project. Yost is also the series' head writer and showrunner. Other executive producers for the series include Sarah Timberman, Carl Beverly, and Michael Dinner. Dinner also directed the series pilot, the 2nd episode of the 1st season, and the 2nd season finale. Theme song. The show's theme song, Long Hard Times to Come, was performed by the New York City-based Gangsta Grass and produced by Wrench, and features rapper Tonez, Matt Check on banjo, Gerald Menker on resonator guitar, and Jason Cade on fiddle. The song was nominated for a 2010 Emmy Award for Outstanding Original Main Title Theme Music.